There is a Chinese proverb that states, "Everything is well prepared, especially that which is crucial." Our people are prepared for this moment to create a great Winter Games. The Beijing 2022 Master Plan has 3 zones connected by a high-speed rail and Olympic lane network, making it efficient for the Olympic family and visitors to travel between zones. As the hub of the Games, the Beijing zone will be the home of the Olympic Park, where the Olympic Village serves as the central point of the Games. Competition venues are immediately adjacent to non-competition venues, accessible and convenient for the Olympic family and visitors. Within close proximity to the Olympic Park are short track speed skating, figure skating, and women's ice hockey venues. Visitors to Beijing will enjoy the ease and convenience of 2 international airports. A modern high-speed rail system connects the entire Olympic experience like never before. Games guests can board a train near Olympic Park to depart for the nearby Yanqing Zone. The Yanqing Zone is a beautiful mountain setting with all venues located within 10 minutes from the Yanqing Olympic Village. Athletes and guests will celebrate unforgettable moments in these stunning mountains as Olympic history is made. From Yanqing, it's just a short train ride to the 3rd Olympic Zone in Zhangjiakou. Zhangjiakou has been a popular winter sport destination for 20 years. The high-speed rail station is in the middle of this zone, delivering visitors right to the doorstep of all venues within 5 minutes.
Kazakhstan, Norway, China were all those bidding for it. And in Malaysia, July 2015 to be precise, they gave it to Beijing. And that makes it so clear that come 2022, the Winter Olympics, why not? We'll cuddle up again to the people of China. And as I speak to you, they already have their date from the 4th of February 2022 to 20th of February. I tell you, that winter out there will be clustered with so many spectators who have seen so many things that happen in Beijing. On that note, I welcome you to a program which a bit bitterly cold in London. But then again, we are here to warm you up. For those of you watching us from the sunny city, tropical sites, why not? It's another edition of ABC Sports. With yours sincerely. I haven't changed my name, I won't. On the day I do, you will be the first to know. Chris Obokol is my name. Tell your friends and tell your neighbors that we are ready to fire from all cylinders. Tell you exactly how things are happening in all ramifications. We're hitting everywhere just to give you all the latest stories. Stories that are coming from the Fédération Internationale Football Association, talking about FIFA. The FIFA World Cup, the Under-20, the draws, only on Thursday was held. We'll give you all that you need to know. Also, CAF, they had their symposium. And we will, why not, tell you exactly what happened when in that symposium. Who spoke, what did they say, all of that only on this program. The only way you can miss this is not being part of it. But then again, it could be stingy for you to have all of this alone. Why don't you tell your friends and tell your neighbors, it could be nice for you to direct them on where to go. From our Facebook to our Twitter page, whichever one that gladdens your mind. Remember, we're on different platforms for you to really, really enjoy sports in totality. We'll also be looking at the UEFA Champions League. We'll be looking at the Europa. Only a few days ago, people were saying Wenger out. And just after the AC Milan game, they said Wenger is our begotten son. Oh dear, Arsenal fans. Anyway, on that note, I welcome in the studios Gary Robert is here with me, a man who can also hold his own. No longer big introductions for Gary. He is a full name now for ABC Sports Live. Gary, another time to talk sports.
Hey, ni hao, Chris, as they say in China.
I mean, so much to truly go through the week.
Yeah.
But before we start the show proper, I mean, this week has been clustered with the International Women's Week, and so many women. For us, to be women in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, people who have been talking about women getting involved in sports and doing what is right. I mean, we also have to cuddle up to that, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I think generally, globally, in fact, you know, I think that the role of women's society as a whole is coming to the fore now, and a greater sense of equality and place is evident not just in sport, but in all works. If you look at it at the Oscars and film and television and all kinds of business and stuff like that, and sport is very much a reflection of what's happening in society, and it's great because I mean the whole point about sport is that it's supposed to be inclusive. It's something for everybody, and I think if you think about one of the interesting things, if you look at what's happening now in North Korea, that's come directly in many ways from the relationship that developed over the course of the Winter Olympics, you know, between North and South Korea, that they started talking to each other. This is what sport does.
Good. Apart from all of that, I mean, I don't know how to say this to people who probably love what you just said together, but the Paralympic has just since begun, and we didn't see that. What we saw in the opening ceremony with days, because Korea decided to. I mean, it was like, what's happening here? We thought we were together, and just before we knew it, we were all over the place.
Well, I think it is because the Winter Olympics thing was the bigger thing, and that's where they wanted to make the statement. You know, it was really a PR exercise, not a real genuine coming together. And I think the message has been made. The point has been made. The message has been sent. Everybody's got the memo, and now they'll just go back to normal. But in the meantime, what's nice is that at political levels, people are now starting to talk. And moving things forward. So
good.
That's a good thing.
Brilliant. Okay, so going back to this week, we saw some of the women, everybody coming out to support women in sports, and every other category which you belong to. That will make me give you a teaser, which perhaps you will love. But before we go into that, let me just ask you. I mean, which woman, you have to think this clearly, think this again, and perhaps those of you watching at home, this question is for the men who will be sitting and watching. Bring the wife in, and if mommy is also in, bring mom in. Let's do this together. This question goes to the man. Who among the two have made so much impression in your life, living or dead? You have to make, if they're not, whichever way it is, we just want to know which among mom or wife have made the biggest impression in your life. Gary, can I just pick your brain on this?
Yeah, well, I think I can be a bit more incisive than I was about choosing who's going to win the World Cup, because I keep on fudging that one. But yeah, I would say my wife, basically, because, you know what I mean, I think that's the person that you actually spend a large part of your life with. You know, your mother makes an impression in your early life, but when you get on in your adult life, it's your wife, and it's your partner. So I would say that the person that's kind of directed and affected my life probably the most has been my wife.
That's Gary speaking. Now let's take a hear from 3 players which you know. Amokachi is one of them. We also have other. You know what? Let me not just leave the cat out of the bag. Leave it to enjoy it. Stay with us.
Generous and very, very caring. Very, very caring.
You cannot give your mother one word.
My mother, Emily Khatebe.
My mom, of course.
The woman that carried me in her womb for 9 months, that would be my mother. Because without her, I wouldn't be Daniel Amokachi. So, you know, I am the great one. That's the name that I was given, so I cherished it all my life.
Unfortunately, she's passed on, but the legacy that she has left behind, we've taken the baton on.
She's a sweet mom, and I have only one mom, and that's her. And I love her so much.
My mama knows, it's all about love. Daniela McCarthy is all about love, and she knows I love her to death. So, keep doing your thing. We embrace you. We keep loving you. And that goes forever and ever. She's my mom. We love her. Keep doing your thing. We cherish you till death.
Brilliant. So, this Sunday confirms his Mother's Day. My guest in the studio, Gary, says he will go for the wife. Gary will sleep well at home. I don't know if others.
My mother won't be watching the show, so it's fine. My wife is more likely to see
And
the
let's
show.
make it clear that the producer says it's the mother. So if the wife is watching, you will have another one with him, I guess. Anyway, moving on with the show, let's talk female football now. Now that on the women, let's talk about the female football stories. Female football stories hitting us, and the Under-20 Women's World Cup, and the draws have since been held in France. And indeed, so much things have been said, and of course the girls, they are all happy to do what they want to do. This will be the 9th edition, 16 teams, 4 host cities, and of course the first match will be played on the 5th of August 2018. What you're seeing right now is a map of where countries all emerged from. It used to be the Under-19, but now FIFA has pushed it, and it is the Under-20. Dare to shine, that would be a tag word for it. Gary, this is another one for the cadets. The group, that's what we're looking at. France, Ghana, New Zealand, Netherlands, and Ghana, African representative in Group A. Group B, take your pick. England, they wanted to host this, but they shied away. Korea, DR, Mexico, Brazil. Group C, US, Japan, Paraguay, Spain. And in Group D, Haiti, China PR, Nigeria, and of course a team that can destroy you any day, Germany.
It's a very, very interesting tournament. This is great. If you look at the strength of some of these teams now, women's football is reaching at senior level. It's becoming very, very impressive. And now this is great because it's giving the players that are playing at under 18 level, now they've got something to focus on. They can see how much more successful the game is getting for women, and how much more competitive it is. So there's better opportunities. And I think this raises, the success of the senior teams raises tournaments like this now to another level, whereas before maybe people wouldn't take these things that seriously. Now they are, and I think it's great. And that tagline, "Time to Shine," it's a good one because this is the chance to really, I think, put women's football on the stage for an age group where a lot of the young girls are actually coming into the game themselves. This is a chance to really inspire a new generation of women's footballers. And I think that's pretty exciting. Obviously from the teams there, one has to think that the usual suspects, the US and Germany and France and the like, are going to do well because they've got very, very good. They've always traditionally had good women's football infrastructure. But we can't write off our representatives as well. I think Nigeria has always had a fantastic women's football, impact in world football. So there's nothing to think that they why Nigeria or even the Ghanaians can't do something in this as well.
Good. We hope that the best teams actually come out to give us good one for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Whenever it starts, we will be there to give you all that you need to know. Remember, first game, 5th of August. Only a few days ago, we saw the Wafu Cup, talking about the African representatives. We saw some of them play, and Nigeria wasn't in the final because they were beaten by Ghana. But we knew that a handful of those who played for Under-20 for Nigeria were actually there in the Wafu Cup. Anyway, we will keep our hands crossed for this. It's still your program, ABC Sports. We take a time out now. When we come back, it will be time for more stories on this program. Stay with us. welcome. It's still your program, ABC Sports, with us sincerely, Chris Obukwalo. We're still moving on with some other stories making the round. But for now, let's quickly discuss athletics. Only a few days ago, we saw the beautiful moment from Birmingham, where we saw athletes gather together in the indoors to show their strength of things. Our man Yomi Omogbeja was there. And, we will at some point get to him so that he will tell us exactly what happened out there in Birmingham. We have been, we knew so many stories happen, representatives and all of that. The Commonwealth Games is fast approaching. We need to know how athletes are dealing with all of this. But before we really go into that, permit me to divert a bit before we get into it. Let's talk about two of the boys that were here on the program the last time here. We had Larry Ekundayo and Daniel Aziz. These two gentlemen, boxers, they came in here and of course they promised that the die is cast and they were ready to destroy. So they did, only last week when they met their opponent. As I speak to you, I mean, there are so many calls. People are already saying, who is Daniel Aziz? Because the way he boxed, he did what we call a knockout. Pictures of what happened there will be coming to you, and of course some videos made possible by MTK Global and IFT TV. These are brilliant, boxing these guys have done. Dan Aziz fought Greg Nicholson, while Larry Ekundayo defeated Polish Adam Grabel. As I speak to you, breaking news coming to us simply says that Dan Aziz will be fighting also. He has now got another new fight for April 28th. I guess we'll show you some of the fights with the one Dan Aziz did, and of course Larry Ekundayo by time if we get it. But I mean, they were here last week. They promised that they were ready to deliver. They went out there just as it's written on the tin.
Yeah, made a good fight of it. Yeah. Well, that's great, you know what I mean? And it's good that we can do that on the show. We can get people in here, and then people can hear who they are, get to know them, and then they can go out to see them box, basically, and do what they do.
Good. Larry Ekundayo, the man who on or before now destroyed his palm, actually tore open, and he told us on the program that he was fit, ready to box. He was ready to go in there. We saw some of those flashes coming from him. Yeah. He went out there. He delivered, despite with little sponsorship. We keep talking about his sponsorship.
I know he was talking about that. That sponsorship is very important for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And most of them, I mean, he, for example, is still asking, those who are willing to sponsor him to really come in and give him some sponsorship. Same with Dan Aziz. I mean, how many people believe that Dan Aziz can box this well? That's a boy who never thought he would be a boxer. He just, saw the likes of AJ and decided, you know what, I want to get into boxing. He's been doing very well.
It's one of the sad things is in so many ways that there are a lot of people that want to sponsor things. Everybody always looks for the big thing instead of looking for the next big thing and trying to invest in things to try and build them up. And everybody wants to make sponsorship out of stuff that's already happening, rather than saying, how do I get behind something and make it happen? And it's a shame because those boxers, Ekundayo and Aziz, could be great boxers, and they could, if they had the right support, they could be, as big a star as any of the big stars out there. If people would got behind them and help build them, rather than wait for them to actually do all the hard work and then become successful, and then they try and buy them basically and try and get behind them, and it's too late. I just wish people had a bit more imagination and a bit more vision when it came to sponsorships on things.
Good. At this point, I think perhaps we'll quickly look at the Nigerian League before we continue on the show. But I'm being told that instead of doing that, let's pause a bit and quickly run to the man who was in Birmingham only a few days ago to see the indoor. His name Yomi Omogbeja. Yomi Omogbeja, welcome to the program ABC Sports. Only a few days ago we saw you. I mean, you were just there all through for the Birmingham indoor. How did it go?
Thank you, Chris, for bringing me on the show. Yeah, it was a bit okay, but an indoors. This year is Commonwealth Games, so indoor is not really big for African athletes that we're covering. And just a few of the athletes actually showed up. Majority of the athletes for Africa right now are preparing for the Commonwealth Games, so this is kind of too early in the year for them to compete. So we We kind of did well. I mean, Ethiopia has a couple of medals. Ivory Coast got their first gold medal as well. Unfortunately, Nigeria didn't get any medal, but you have at least a lot to cheer about. South Africa got a silver medal also in the long jump, and so it was quite okay, decent for African teams as well.
Good. I mean, the Commonwealth Games is not far-fetched. I'm just beginning to wonder, I mean, what are the preparations now that you've, called the Africans? What are the preparations for Africa? And if I might extend it, because I know you are also deep into the Nigerian terrain, how prepared are this nation for the Commonwealth Games? Just be sincere with the public, if you can.
Well, okay, let's start with Africa. The main African teams going to Commonwealth Games, Kenya, South Africa, those countries are quite well prepared. Ghana, you expect those countries to get a couple of medals at the championship. Especially when it comes to the sprints, South Africa will be a big competition for the Jamaicans, the British teams, and the Canadians, and the Australians as well. So, but when it comes to the Nigerian team, I can't say much about that because they had a Commonwealth Games trial in a few weeks back, which most of the foreign athletes did show up. And then some of the athletes have not actually competed this year, so you don't know the form they're in. And so basically we have it, Nigeria has a list now of 37 athletes going to Commonwealth Games. They acquired a lot of young people and new, inexperienced athletes going. So you can't predict what will happen, but I'm not too optimistic that they will have as much success as they had in Glasgow in 2014.
Good. I mean, there have been so many calls that preparation have not always been the best name for any Nigerian athlete. And as I speak to you, I'm not sure, what preparations have been in place for the Nigerian athletes to be sincere. I mean, that's where I'm driving at. You know too well as I know that, I keep dragging on this. I mean, the Commonwealth Games in Australia, if my brain still serves me right, and if it's less than 40 days to be precise. What is there? What is there for people to rejoice about, Yomi?
That's what I'm saying, that when you pick, okay, I'll start with the Nigerian team. When you pick the Nigerian team, they had the selection trials, which was mainly for the athletes based in the country. Most of the foreign-based athletes didn't show up. And then you have all the crisis and the drama with the Athletics Federation board itself. There's this week there's a news that they didn't return some of the money that the IWF paid them, and that's already torn apart the old board. Now, this probably happened during this transition from the old board and the new board, and now I think it's the sport ministry and the secretary that was there at that time that have to account for the money. So you have that crisis as a big distraction on one side, and then you have the fact that some of the athletes who actually went to Nigeria to compete, like Sheye Ogunlewe, for instance, who is currently the fastest athlete in Nigeria, sprinter, was deselected from the team because after the 2 rounds, he didn't do the final, even though he had the fastest time in the first round and in the semi-final. So you have a problem where you actually drop one of your best athletes on flimsy excuse, and then you have the crisis on one side with the board itself. So it's very chaotic right now. So I don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks, but I'm not really optimistic that they're going to do anything at the Commonwealth Games.
Good. Wait for us, Yomi. Please don't go yet while I just bring Gary in. Gary, I mean, we just heard, Yomi telling us about, the IWF paying so much money to the Nigerian Federation and telling them, oh, I think we overpaid you guys and you guys are not paying us back the money. Can you guys pay the money? And they're saying, no. That money will be going back to you.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the problem here? I mean, are they meant to? Were they supposed to? I mean, give us your own take on this.
It's hard to know, what the exact circumstances were about why the money was overpaid, because that's a very strange thing to happen. Why, how does one overpay a federation? Should be very, very clear lines about how much people get paid. The only thing that could be, and from what I understand about Nigerian athletics as well, is that the people running on the old board there weren't exactly the most honest people in the game, basically, and there was a lot of really bad, a lot of shenanigans going around that the previous chairman was
involved in.
So they created. I heard lots of stories about money being paid in and not going to the guy eventually paying money out of his own account because he was keeping the money and things like that. There were a lot of really, really negative stories. So it's hard to actually try and get to the bottom of it. It could have been that maybe he kind of done something to get a double payment somewhere along the line and told them, then they realized they'd paid them twice or something. So it's hard to make a statement unless one really knows exactly But sorry, the only thing is one thing I know that is it's like with anything. Once you give somebody money, it's hard to get money back, basically.
No, Gary, if I give you money, you don't return it. You have to. Anyway, let's just get back to you. So what would be the way forward for athletics in Africa and in Nigeria to be particular, just before we let you go?
Well, I think the only way forward, if I may say, is to have proper people in place who love the sport, who are passionate about the sport, administrators who know what they're doing and they are honest, and they have integrity to do the right things and follow best practices across the world. We have the athletes, we have the talents. We now need to have credible administrators to take us forward. If I might just mention, just say something about what Gary said about the money. I think they needed to pay them $20,000 US for the Warri relays as IWF contributions. Now, I don't know how whoever got in there made a mistake and instead paid $150,000. Now, after taking the $20,000, they were supposed to refund the $130,000 back to the IWF. But then the old board said that they were not sure what happened because the secretary sent them $40,000 US. So they thought the $20,000 had been doubled by the IWF for the new year. So they took that in. But what happened to the remaining $110,000 US? That was taken into the sport ministry. So that's basically now between the minister, the secretary, and the youth and sports official in charge of elite sports to acquire for that. But for the old board, they only have $20,000 US extra to refund.
I don't know. It's all over. It's just all over the place, and one can't really put his hand into what they are doing. Everybody claiming rights, yet the truth is so clean to say. Anyway, just for us to hear your final word, because I was waiting for that. You were in Birmingham. You saw how things were organized. Did Birmingham, live up to expectation? Is it the type of facilities which they promised you saw?
Yeah, it was quite good. I mean. We had this problem the first 2 days with chaotic snow, and getting around and getting to the venue was really stressful. But inside the arena itself, it was really good, and naturally, British organization is always top notch. So that was great. But when you look at the fact that the Nigerian team in charge of hosting the Africa Championship in August, were also there to observe. So that was quite nice because they were able to see how things are done. They were able to observe the accreditation, the publicity, the marketing. So I hope they will take that back. And for once, we have a very well-organized Africa Championship this year. So,
good.
So for me,
we will always, because the Commonwealth Games is fast approaching, and of course you will always be our ears, mouth, all of that has to do with athletics. But then again, because of time, thank you for joining us on ABC Sports. And good work you're doing, I have to say, on athletics. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And
Brilliant. I mean, what else can we say? He's painted all the pictures.
Yeah.
Africans are perhaps moving backwards or forward,
Yeah.
most especially Nigeria. There is so much, hoo-ha that's happening in Nigeria right now. I have got so much, paperwork in terms of people creating so much. I'm being told I have to take a break. But if we continue with them, we just won't stop the show. Anyway, at this point, let's quickly take a break. When we come back, it'll be time to look at football in total. UEFA Champions League. We haven't talked about that. Europa, EPL. I mean, take your pick. We take a break and we'll return. Stay with us. It's still your program, ABC Sport, with yours sincerely, Chris Obukwelu. If you just joined us, we've been looking at some of the news making the rounds in the world of sports. We've looked at athletics and how things have been emerging. We have also taken a look at the Paralympics. Just talked about it, how it's going out there in Pyongyang. Remember also that the big one is coming 2022 if you don't get your eyes out of that. And of course, boxing, we've had Larry Kundayo and Daniel Aziz, two boys who actually came to the program, and they were on the program and they have been doing so very well. They will return on this program to tell you, their next step and of course things that they will be doing. That's a promise from us, so keep a date. We will always try to bring them close to you. But moving on now, there are still so much stories on our deck. We also have the Under-20 Women's World Cup that will be coming up out there in France. We have since talked about that. So, but for now, we will talk. I've been told we could talk table tennis. Yes, that looks interesting because they had the Kenyan, in Kenya, they had the championship there. We will talk about it. But before we talk about it, let's just quickly talk about the Nigerian, league, because most of you have written to us and saying, please talk about our league. Why not? The program is open to all Africans and beyond. Let's bring your league in and we'll talk about it. What you're looking at now is some fixtures of the Nigerian league. Some will be, most of them I've been told, we played on Sunday, but putting 4 o'clock for almost all of them. I don't know. One will be on Monday, and that is Aqua United and Nasarawa United. We know two others. Some of the teams in here have also been playing the CAF Champions League. We know two others. MFM did so very well. MFM are good at home, I'm being told, but away they are porous. Anyway, I mean, Gary, Nigerian League, they are developing. They are Shehu Diko, a man who, has shown that he can hold his own when it matters most, has been trying to improve the league and trying to push as much as possible to make the league look, sellable.
Yeah.
In your own turn, I mean, how good have been Nigerian League?
I mean, I know the Nigerian League very well, having worked on it with Supersport back in between 2008 and up to 2012, and worked with then. And I know the trouble and issues that we used to deal with then. And I think that the change that has come about since the LMC have taken over managing the league and under Shehu's control, it's been remarkable. It's been, it's really, the league in the last few years has come stable. It's well run. Everything happens as it's supposed to happen. It's been disciplined. Teams are, fixtures are played like the way they should be. Stadiums are managed properly. Everything it's as good as anything you'll see. And I'm really, really impressed with, with what's, the way the league is actually developed, and I'm really excited by that. And I think it bodes well for the future of the game. There's no doubt about it, the fact that the players, the football, the talent is all there, and certainly Nigerian football has a great profile in the world because people know Nigerian footballers, they know the Nigerian national team. It has a great impact. So there's no reason why the league shouldn't be able to, be pulled forward through that profiling, and if it's good enough and it's well run, which it is now, I seem to think that the Nigerian League has got a great future going forward if it can get the right things to happen in the next few years.
We'll talk more about the Nigerian League. Especially when we have ex-international, a man who played for the league, just joining us in a minute. But before that, what will get us excited is far away in Kenya. We saw the table tennis African, who call them the African finest. They gathered together to show who really can hold his own. And one of those who participated in that is just joining us all the way from her base in France. Sarah Hankoff. She qualified for the final. She was there. She met with the final. But it was not to be. But I won't finish this story. Right? I will leave it for Sarah to tell. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for joining us on ABC Sports. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Brilliant. Sarah, we saw you at the finals, and of course, it wasn't to be. I mean, you did your best. They said to get to the final is not just a joke. But then again, how did it happen? Where did it go wrong?
I think it's a good result actually, because it's the first time I went in the final during the African Cup. I won against Funke Oshonaike. It was the first time I played against her in quarter-final. So actually it's a very good result. Gina Meshwe, who I lost against in the final, was much better than me. She's currently number 33 in the world ranking. So it was a good result. Really, I'm so happy with it.
Sarah, I mean, you will say I know you're trying to be very fair in your comments, but then again, is there anything you're finding wrong in your play style, or is that something you have learned from what happened out there in Kenya?
Yes, of course I have to improve many things in the way I play. My physical condition is something I need to work on. I'm actually trying to work a lot on my physical condition, and I need to do more match because I've been out of the game for several months now because of work. So now I'm getting back to it. I will play in the championship in France every 2 weeks, so maybe it will get better.
What will you say is the problem with African table tennis, in your own opinion?
In my own opinion, there is not a problem with African table tennis, The problem is the developments, the grassroots developments, and when it comes to development, it comes to money. And I think the African Table Tennis Federation is not putting enough money for the development of our sports. Only Nigeria, of course, and Egypt, but we need to do more because we can see I'm getting old, I'm 31. Most of the girls are very old like me, and there is no next generation now. So something must do on the ground, on the field with young players.
The problem is that we need to ask the Cameroonian Federation in terms of their table tennis to put in more money and of course develop young talent. If I get that right, that's what you're trying to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm talking about the African Table Tennis Federation. As far as Cameroon is concerned, I think they are doing great. They are trying, at least, they've done many things in the north of the Cameroon and also in Yaoundé. So it is getting better, but if we speak about all Africa, you can see that nothing is done by the African Table Tennis Federation, at least not enough, and there is a lot of work to do.
Good. The Commonwealth Games is fast approaching. What is the preparation for? As especially someone like you, what are you putting in place?
Actually, I'm very busy with work, so I'm not a good example for the preparation, but I'm trying to do physical preparation 3 times a week. I'm having a table tennis session twice a week, and I'm trying to have match every 2 weeks. But normally I should be practicing every day and twice a day, but I'm just trying to combine, a sport and work.
Good. Okay, let's go back to, what exactly you think about the organization in Kenya. How was, be sincere with us, how was it organized? Was it a perfect match, or do they have to, cross their eyes, and I'm not forgetting to dot their eyes and cross their T's. Pardon me for that, sorry.
I will be very straightforward with you. It was one of the best organizations ever in Africa. Really, it was very professional. The volunteers were really eager to help and to be involved in the process. It was very, very good. We don't have to complain about anything. The food was good, the hosting was good, and there were no delay during the tournament. So really one of the best ever in Africa.
Sarah, can I just jump in there? Was there a good crowd? Was there a lot of support from the fans coming to watch the games?
Not that much, I have to say. Not that much, unfortunately. But in Africa, when there is tournament, except in Egypt or Nigeria, there is not much people there.
Sarah, can we also talk about yourself now in terms of what's next for Sarah? What's Sarah looking at? You just said, you're not too good in terms of the age. It's beginning to tell. But then again, what is next for Sarah? We're happy to hear. Give us.
I'm trying to prepare for the African Championship in September in Mauritius, and after for the qualification of Tokyo 2020. I hope I will qualify, and then I will see what's next for me. But that after Tokyo it will be Paris, and I'm living in France, so maybe I want to try to qualify also for Paris. So we will see, but I'm still in the game.
I will not see in a situation whereby in future we will be saying Sarah who's a coach.
Yes, actually, I'm trying to help. I have my NGO, Pink Sans Frontières, and every time I have holidays, I'm trying to travel all over the world, and especially in Africa, to do some training camp for the kids. I will keep on doing that, but I'm a lawyer, I'm a full-time lawyer. I love my job, and coaching is just to give back to the kids, but not my real job.
Gary, you have one more question?
No, that's fine. That sounds great. I think my thing is that I do know that table tennis is quite popular. I mean, there's a lot of people do play it in Africa. I know in Nigeria, and even in Kenya, and obviously in Cameroon, people are playing it. And it's just that I think that, I don't know if you'd agree with this, but that more maybe needs to be done to market the sport so that more people can come start watching the games being played and getting a bigger audience to come and watch it, because people love it. Everybody plays table tennis after all.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it's all about marketing, and maybe we don't have skillful person regarding this aspect, but I have to say Olalekan from Nigeria, who is working for ITTF Africa, is trying to do a good work. We saw in Kenya there was some interns for the communication, 4 interns from all over Africa, and it was much better than before. So maybe if they keep on organizing this kind of things with interns and communication in the country, it would get better. I'm optimistic.
No, we like that. We like that from you, Sarah. And of course, we will be following all your events, and of course, trying to disturb you, if I have to put that, to get all the information all the way from you. Wish you the very best of luck, and we hope next time it will be Sarah winning the trophy for herself and her country. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. I mean, what a lovely lady.
Brilliant.
She went,
Absolutely.
she saw,
Yeah.
perhaps beating out the finals, but yet still
Well,
smiling.
as you said, getting to the finals is a great challenge. It's a great achievement itself. You know what I mean? To get the final, it means that you are, amongst the top two in that role. So that's great. And she's obviously dedicated and loves the sport and is very good at it. And I know that the table tennis is played by many people all over the continent. And I think it's one of those sports that I really think that has a lot of space to grow and develop, and with the right sponsorship and people getting behind it, and marketing it, raising the profile of it to try and create venues for it, put more of it on television, so these games are shown on television, people start seeing it. I think it could have a really good future. I think there's something that I think people aren't really appreciating how important, what the potential of table tennis is in the African continent.
Good. I know too well that especially the African contingent, Nigeria to be precise, most of them who sent in letters complaining, as always, the sponsorship is not there. No one is interested. Yeah. And you have sounded it over and over again. Yeah. Oh, they will never come. But of course, when there is a big name, everybody will want to jump in it. Let's rewind back. The Winter Olympic girls, the Nigerian girls, who gave them a look? Nobody was listening to them. They said they wanted their instrument for their Winter Olympic. Nobody was listening. But then again, they saw the crowd were all over the place. I don't get how you can save a nation, a continent from this coerce.
Well, the problem is this: it goes back to television and exposure. If you're looking at something like table tennis, is that if people got behind them, you're going to sponsors. Sponsors don't want to get involved with something that doesn't give them mileage. They need to see their brand going out. Needs to raise to sponsor something. Their brand profile has to be raised as well. So the first thing is to try and get media deals. You need to get exposure. So to get this stuff onto television, to get this into the social media platforms, to get that excitement going, get people coming to it. Then the sponsors will come through. And when the sponsors come through, they'll put money into it. And when they put money into it, it makes it better. You get better names, you get better events, more people come. And if more people come, then more sponsors want to be there because you've got more people, and then that's how you kind of grow it. But the first step is to start giving media coverage. And this is where broadcasters need to take the step and start putting these events on television. It doesn't cost a lot of money to acquire these rights, to put them on television for things like this. Because a lot of these things like table tennis, volleyball, they just want exposure. They just want to get out there. And if you can give them that break and give them that exposure, you'll find that audience coming to them. You'll find the sponsors coming, and you'll find yourself building something rather than waiting for something to happen that won't happen unless you start. A cake's not going to bake itself. Exactly. You got to put the oven and switch the oven on and put it in, basically.
Yeah, cake reminds me that it's Mother's Day on Sunday, and so I'm ready to also have some bite of all of that. Anyway, it's still your program, ABC Sports. Remember, we are still into some of the events, some of the stories making the sound in sports. Guys, we have the UEFA Champions League, the Europa, the Nigerian League. We have talked about just taking a bit of the cake, perhaps, but we haven't munched so much. So perhaps you'll be waiting. So when we come back, it will be time for X International to join us, and of course, we will all match heavily and see what is happening. We'll take a look at this. I will return. Stay with us. This is yours sincerely, Chris Obook. Well, if you just join us, perhaps you have missed a bit of what we're trying to do. If you love football, then why not? You haven't missed anything. Let's just put it that way. We've been talking about the ping pong, table tennis, and of course, Sarah Hangoff joined us, a lady who went out there and of course did very well out there in Kenya. Unfortunately, the trophy wasn't to be hers. And join us in the studios to talk about every other thing that has been happening in sports, most especially the round leather game, is ex-international, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Tony Mwigwe. Tony, I'm not trying to talk sports. We'll invite you that way. But then again, I will do exactly the same thing I did to Gary. You haven't seen it, so I'm happy with that. Mom or wife, who have made most impression in your life?
Mom.
Okay. Wife is watching, and Tony will be in trouble, I think. Okay, well, he has answered his question anyway, so which is nice. Guys, before you came into the studio, we were talking about the Nigerian League. We know too well, for those of you joining us, I know some people have already been texting and writing, asking about the list of the Super Eagles list for the friendlies. We will, why not, talk about it. Just stay with us. That's why the program is on. Just we have plenty of things to tell you. Only time decide how many we're going to offload. Let's bring you in. The Nigerian League, there's so many things that have been talked about it. Few days ago, we heard about new sponsors perhaps coming in. When you were playing and now, what is the difference? What are we not getting right? What are we getting right? The floor is open.
I think the difference is the passion that is gone from, especially from the fans in Nigeria. That is the first basic thing, because I think with the introduction of the cable system, which results in beaming, live matches from Europe and all the rest, have over-influenced the people's passion of going to the stadium to watch matches. And when there's no passion in the game from the fans towards the players, you find that the atmosphere in the stadium is not too conducive for the players to play in, because it's like a dull atmosphere. Nothing is spurring the players to kind of perform, to a greater height. So I think that's where the focus, needs to be, reintroduced, especially from clubs, NFF, trying to bring programs that will bring back people into the stadium, because when you have people coming when you have followers. The players now will be aware that people are, monitoring whatever they are doing. But if you don't have followers and everybody's following the league in Europe, where they even have no kind of attachment to, it becomes a problem for the local league. So, and I believe that the NFF, the new board now, they are really trying to, update the league, in terms of sponsorship, because before we didn't have the kind of sponsorship that they have now. But at the same time, you want the people to go to the stadium to be able to watch the games. So they must find a way to balance the local league and the beaming of the international league, because if you put them side to side like they are doing, it's killing the local league, irrespective of whatever you put there.
Good. Let me bring you in. We've been told that there are sponsors who are clamoring to have the Nigerian league. It simply means they are doing something right.
Yeah. Look, they have got a bit of sponsorship. The issue now is obviously the broadcasting. They sell the media rights. They're trying to find a new broadcaster since SuperSport stepped away. Because that is important, to get it onto television so that people can see it. But I think that what Tony's made a very good point, though, and I think that this is really, really crucial, is that I think that the league has done everything right. Getting the sponsors and and the organisation that the LMC has brought into the league structure now has been very, very good. Now the one key element, and this is what he's talking about, and I think is really, really important, it's got to have fans. The fans have got to come to the stadium. That atmosphere is absolutely important. And if there's anything else they've got to focus on more than anything now, has to be exactly as he says, how to get the fans back into the stadium. One of the things they've done quite well is actually make the stadiums a much more. I remember like 6, 7, 8 years ago, the stadiums used to be, they were not in great shape. A lot of the stadiums that you went to. The last couple of years, they've really done a lot to fix up the stadiums. They're in better shape than they've been for a long time. And if you watch the games on TV, even the streaming ones, you see that the stadiums are looking good. But they're empty, and that's the thing, and you look at that, and for sponsors and for people that want to come in and put the money in,
That's what
That's
they're
the
looking
missing.
for.
That's what they
Good.
want.
We will, you know, at some point bring in Shehu Diko. He's always happy to join us on this program, but not today because we know too well that the trophy has been paraded around Nigeria. They are all, you know, loving it. Even the president had his hands on it, despite not shaking the players with good morning. I've been told the players wanted money and not handshake. Talking about those who went for Chan Kwoko. So, Mr. President, if you are listening, perhaps you aren't told those players didn't need handshake. They said they needed money. They won't tell you. I will tell you. That's what they said. Anyway, let's move over now and, of course, bring in a man who will also tell us the truth about what is happening with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We've been told friendly matches have been lined up, and, of course, everybody's ready to roll. Tunde Adelako has just joined us. Tunde, welcome to the program. It is yours, ABC Sports.
Good evening, Chris, Tony, Gary. I wish you a good evening as well.
Today, let's quickly start with the CAF Symposium. I mean, what do you take out of the CAF Symposium, which was organized earlier this week?
Well, I just returned from Morocco yesterday, where I attended the 2-day CAF Symposium on women's football, which was one of the points that the new CAF president, well, we call him new, he'll be a year in a week's time, President Ahmad promised that he wanted to pay specific and particular attention to the development of the game of the women's cadre, which is why he put together this symposium as an independent one, separate from the main symposium that we had in July last year in Morocco as well. It was good. It was interesting. It revealed a lot of things. It revealed stuff that we already knew about, and it brought to light the fact that we're still very far from it. We're still very far from the reality of getting good organized women's football in Africa. But at least we have opened the eyes of the rest of the world to it, and hopefully, we will have some solutions to it very soon to make us able to compete with the best in the world.
And while we talk about it, perhaps today while you are still there, we'll just see sight and sound of what happened out there in the CAF Symposium. We'll come back immediately to continue with the program. But first, let's quickly run and see exactly what happened out there with the CAF Symposium. Stay with us.
Morocco is capable of hosting the 2026 World Cup. It is a project of Morocco, but a whole continent dream for so many years. I hope the time will come for us to host this fantastic, I would say, project, which going to give the possibility for women to find the place that is supposed to be theirs since many years now. It is going to allow them to have the appropriate infrastructure, the appropriate venues, to have adequate human resources and the financial means. All doors will be wide open for women to in football to find the place that it is theirs. So let's cross our fingers for Morocco to win this World Cup that we have been waiting for so many years.
sight and sound of what actually happened out there in the CAF symposium. And of course, Tunde Adelakun have been telling us exactly, what happened, because he was there to see all of that. Before that, you saw a lady who also came in to speak about the bid, the Moroccan bid for for the World Cup. They also want to host. I'm not sure how loud that will be. Perhaps I bring Tunde back to tell me during that symposium, was there anything said about the bid? Tunde, welcome back to ABC Sports. Was there anything at all that was discussed about the bid for Morocco, or was there any hype given to it? I mean, you saw all of that. Tell us, please.
Well, I mean, Morocco have not hidden their ambition to host the World Cup. I think the very first time they bid to host the World Cup was in 1998, and they have tried 4 times and have not succeeded. They never made it a secret that they were going to bid for 2026 again. And I think that a lot of what happened in the last week, in the last few days, was actually reflective of their bid and their intention to hype up emotions towards hosting the World Cup of 2026. I think that the investment, if you ask me, the investment that Morocco has made into football in Africa over the last year has all been geared towards, their bid to host the World Cup in 2026, including hosting the CHAN, making sure that infrastructure and equipment and stadium facilities are up to date to show the world that they can host on the big stage. So, and there was a lot of talk about it everywhere that we went to events, the gala dinner, the banquet, the post-symposium press conference. Everybody highlighted the fact that that's what they were gearing towards, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to get the whole of the African continent, all 54 nations, to back the bid to host the World Cup in Morocco in 2026.
I think that's a very good thing to do. And we've also been told that the Moroccans are also, laying a hand of help in case Cameroon wants it during the African Cup of Nations. They say, if they want their stadia, we can always give you if you guys are not ready to, if you guys don't have enough, especially now that the number of teams are being expanded for the African Cup of Nations. Morocco is showing that they really, really want to get there. But before we continue, I've been told we quickly have to take a break, and we will take a break. When we come back, Tunde Adelakun is still here. Ex-international is still here with us. They're talking about Tony, and of course Gary is also here with us. We will come back. There's so much to still talk about. Friendly matches. Morocco have organized friendly matches. Nigeria also have their own friendly matches. We will tell you exactly what is happening with all those friendly matches. Most of you are asking the questions about venues, everything that needs to be said. We will say that to you. We also have the UEFA Champions League, the Europa. How many can we not tell you? Only if you stay with us. We take this break. When we come back, ABC Sports continues. Stay with us. welcome back. It's still your program, ABC Sports, with yours sincerely, Chris Obukwalo. So much still to talk about on the program with Tunde Adelako still with us. We also have Tony, ex-international, and we were here with us, and of course Gary Rabat. They were all clustered for us to, have so much discussion for today's affair. Okay, let's quickly pick up. Let's pick up one of those that are making the rounds. Let's quickly talk about the UEFA Champions League. Let's bring that moment on. And for now, we'll be seeing some of the pictures and of course some of the results that make the rounds for the UEFA Champions League. People say the English teams all run to UEFA Champions League, but before semi-finals or thereabouts, you just don't find them anywhere. It's unfortunate, isn't it, really, for some of the teams, the English teams that go to the UEFA Champions League. Tony?
Yeah, but before it used to be the UEFA Champions League used to be a primary game for every team who is particularly in it, and it still is. So, but the thing is, what is happening now is that a lot of clubs is finding it difficult to come into the UEFA Champions League because of the numbers of teams now that they have who is struggling for the position. So he's making it look like it's a very difficult thing now. Before it used to be, you can just close your eyes every season, you know who will be in the Champions League. The likes of Arsenal now is going how many years they've not appeared in the Champions League. And
we'll come back to Arsenal.
So Liverpool managed to scrape in this year. So you'll see that the league now is more about the fourth position, fourth place Champions League than even winning the Champions League. Of course, this year City, has won the league. So the next emphasis now is like to see who is the remaining three teams to join City for the Champions League. And I believe that Champions League will always be the premier league for the world, because the whole world watches Champions League in terms of club performance.
Good. Let me bring Gary in. Gary, I mean, I said plenty of teams struggle to get into that, Premier League, status. They get in there before semi-finals. Almost all the English team disappears into thin air.
Yeah.
What's really the problem here?
Well, I mean, it's been like it for a long time, although it looks like this year it'll be very different because the English teams have managed to kind of, Spurs are the first to drop out now, and it's going to see whether United and Chelsea can actually keep up, going through, can go through or not. But there's been quite a strong representation this year, and in the last few years there hasn't been. And I think that it's hard to say why there's a problem. Maybe just because the other leagues, the teams have been stronger. They've had a big more focus. I mean, Spanish football has been so strong, so dominant in the last decade. If you look at it's in its national team, in the teams like the way Barcelona have dominated the league. Before then, we've had Real Madrid. They've always been. Atletico have been up there as well. So it's just that the English teams haven't really been up to scratch. I think that the teams are getting better, but the other teams have just been better, basically.
And how did that happen? We saw Liverpool, the likes of Tottenham. Just when they thought they had this, it all crumbled. So that simply means that Wembley is not really their home.
The Champions League is a pedigree for teams that, and you go back to looking at a team like Liverpool. Liverpool have won the Champions League 5 times. Like that kind of history, when you've got it in your system, you kind of spur. You know what I mean? You go to those things, you think you're there, but it's that holding your nerve, being able to hold your nerve right to the end. That's that experience. Teams like Juventus, they have that. There's a toughness, as it were, that's required at that level. That maybe teams like teams still trying to break through into the league haven't really kind of got yet. Be interesting to see how the remaining 2 teams do, because Chelsea have managed to win the league now. United have got a history, so it'll be interesting to see how they do.
I think the Champions League, the problem with the British team is that, for a start, let us start this. The FA sometimes does not really help the team because, one, they're playing too many matches, and if you watch the other countries, when they have the Champions League ahead, the FA tends to reduce the amount of days closing, getting to the match for them to play an early game in order for them. But because of the TV rights in England here and because of the broadcasting rights and everything, it is difficult for the FA to take this power away from the TV companies because they want to present, that's the games that they are presenting is what people are buying into. So because of that now, they put more pressure on the team playing close to the games, and when you play close to the game, it is difficult for you to recover early than the other person who has stayed 2-3 days before you. So, and what happened to Tottenham is not that issue because Tottenham is a young side. I think they're just still learning because when you're playing in such matches, there are times where you put on the brake. When you put on the brake, it means that it's not because you want to put on, you want to pack the bus or anything. No, you want to reassess the game. Like, okay, we're playing 1-1. With 1-1, we're going to win. 10 minutes to go. You change the distance, and that's why everybody has been clamoring that Pochettino made a mistake. Probably this is still his learning curve into coming into the big league now. So, and I believe that this match has really taught him, because there's sometimes it's better for you to play ugly and win than when you play the beautiful game and you lose. So they need to know what type of game to play at every different stages, and with that helps you to be one of the top teams. If you watch sometimes things like Real Madrid, they don't play well, but they take their chances. In terms, if you watch the game against Paris Saint-Germain, Paris Saint-Germain dominated the game for almost 80 minutes. They had 7 minutes to play. Madrid had only 7 minutes, and they scored 2 goals, putting the game away from becomes too difficult for Paris Saint-Germain to win, because you cannot take Madrid away scoring. So are you going to score 3 goals against Madrid? No. So it's that type of. Paris had 1-1, 10 minutes to go. You set up shop, and then you finish the game. You take the match to Paris, and then you win. So these are the difference between the Premier teams in the Champions League and the ones just coming in now because of money and all the rest of it.
Brilliant. You buy that idea, don't you, Gary?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Tony's right on a couple of things, actually. I think that it's kind of what I was saying about that pedigree. Those teams that have been experienced, have gone through it so many times, they know exactly how to control the game. They know exactly when to go forward and threaten, and they know when to actually reserve and hold back and close the game out. And they know how to manage that all the way, not for 70 minutes, not for 80 minutes or 89 minutes, but for 93 minutes, basically. You've got to manage it until that final whistle goes. But the one thing I was going to also ask Tony about as well, do you think that, there's been talk now in English football about bringing in a winter break. Do you think that might help at all in any way for English teams?
Yeah, because if you look at other European countries, they still have this 2 weeks winter break. I think the problem the English team is having, because of the tradition that they've set for themselves, they've used the Christmas period to be able to use as family get to go out, watch the games, opportunity to take your son to the stadium and all the rest, or to use it as a gift during the Christmas period. So that is the pressure, and because of that tradition, it's difficult. But like in other European countries, take for Germany, for instance, during the Christmas period, it's snowing, the grounds are hard, so most times they have this break to just give themselves that 2 weeks break. And that 2 weeks break helps the team, because it helps the players to recover coming to January, when you have, as January with the backload coming in from Champions League coming in, the new second round features coming in, it helps you to have this strength to be able to come into that game, while the British teams are tiring out. These people are just still starting, so that, they've been clamoring to look into this thing, and I think if they want to, they can look into it, because it will help the players.
Yeah,
it will help the players.
Plenty of people have said that this beautiful game, especially when it comes to the competition with UEFA, Champions League to be precise, is just going to Spain in terms of the trophy. But then again, we have an ugly bulldog waiting, which is Man City. I mean, are we in any way, in any doubt that City will crumble on a good day?
The City I know of now is like, this season, they have really, come of age. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Guardiola has been able to get the puzzles to cover in the loopholes that he was having the first season that he came into England. But let us think of one thing. City has not been tried by the big boys from the other side, across the Atlantic, across the waters. So we would see now when they start meeting the likes of Paris Saint-Germain, who is out already, the likes of Madrid, Barcelona, then you can now be able to say, can City go all the way? Good, they have had good season this year, and the problem was that before, just like what Chelsea did last year, Conte came in, had 6 defeats, 6 bad runs, turned the team around. Before teams could realize how he's playing, he has already won the league. Nobody believed that City will be playing the way they are playing this season. It took everybody by surprise, so people were not ready for them. And before the gap starts stretching, now they have maintained it and they continue. So what is going to happen now is that for the league from City next season, we'll see how they're going to perform now with the teams now aware that this is how they are playing. So we will now see how they're going to cope with that. But we will cope with, where we are going to cope with City now is to see in the semi-finals and the finals when they will meet almost an equal team with the same amount of quality that they have. We'll see how they play out.
Because I don't think that the City are under pressure anymore. They perhaps have had the EPL in their bag now somehow, and what they will be looking forward to now is, guys, let's just kill this off. Basel is not, I mean, forget the victory Basel had in City. City can always, any day, anytime. If that was a difficult game for them, I'm too assured that City will, on that night, beat Basel. But for them, it was like, you know what, we've done this right. Let's just allow them with this.
Well, let's remind you as well that Liverpool beat City already this season. So, you know what I mean? It could be Liverpool and City going head.
I think you're driving at.
But on that point, and I think it also, again, talking to what Tony was saying was about the way players are managed, the management. And if you think about both Klopp and Guardiola, of managers who've got experience at Champions League. And I think that one of the things that was made City change, I think to me the 2 strongest teams in English football right now are Liverpool and City. Because of 2 things. What both those managers have done over the time is the way they've built their squads. And then they both now, what they have got squads that have got depth. They can change their play. If one player goes, they've got another one to put in that place. And they can literally they've got almost like 2 teams that are almost as good as the other one. Klopp played that Liverpool team against Porto. It was, he put a whole lot of little players on like that, and they still played almost as good as the team that thumped Porto 5-0 the first time around. He was, you could use that, and you can see all the players that he's got in his place. City have done the same thing. Guardiola's he's building that, a team, as you're saying, finding those players in the right place, putting a jigsaw together, looking at the long term, playing the long term game, not just a quick fix. Oh, we need a player to put this now, spend a whole lot of money and get this guy in. Oh, he's not working, get rid of him, let's get another one in like that. They find. That's what Klopp was saying when he said, this is the player, Virgil van Dijk, that's the guy I want. I don't want anybody else. When he's ready, we'll get him. Keita, the same thing. We'll wait until he's ready, and then we'll get him. Same thing with Guardiola. He knows the players that he wants, and he only wants the players that he wants. No quick fixes. Long-term strategy, build a squad that can take, you know what I mean? So when you lose a player, you've got another one step into that breach and play the same game. Good. And that's what they've done. Strategy over a long period of time, basically.
I know too well that a man called Gary could like Liverpool at the finals of the UEFA Champions League. We know that well, but then again, they have to play real good football to actually achieve this feat. We know Tunde is still on the other side of the line with us to talk about the Champions League. But we'll quickly take a break, and when we come back, Tunde, the question will be, are you ready? Is Chelsea really ready to get to the next round, especially with the likes of Messi and all of that? Or perhaps, Tunde, you know what, before we take this break, where are you? Tunde, will Chelsea in any way or form cross that big line which we are looking at? Can you beat Barcelona? Can you move forward? Okay, I think Tunde is not joining us yet. We will connect right with Tunde. But before we do that with him, guys, just a quick one. Do you guys think that Chelsea can cross this bridge?
Chelsea has always had the good games with Barcelona in terms of history.
Remember, they are playing away.
Yes, even the last time Chelsea did that was Torre, who scored the last goal. So the only thing now is that the team is not playing. If the team was playing, you would at least have that confidence that they might be able to.
So to say no.
And if they can galvanize themselves within this short period, with the coach also, putting whatever problem they have aside,
all right,
to
brilliant.
play Barcelona.
When we come back When we come back, it will be time for us to look at Chelsea or Barcelona. I mean, you can always join us, but however, you can always do it on Twitter or perhaps on Facebook with us on ABC Sports Live. And of course, some of you will pick up your stories. When we come back, so much to talk about. Stay with us. Yeah, you will bring up the top. Did you welcome back? It's still your program, ABC Sports, with your sincerely, Chris Obukwalo. So much have been said about the news making the rounds in sports, but then again, there is still, the cups are still filled up with so much stories. We're still offloading. And just stay with us. We hope we will be able to offload all of that. Tunde Adelakun, if you can hear him right now, joins us again. This time around, we will be talking about the UEFA Champions League. But then again, I'm being told he has disappeared into thin air again. So we'll get him, we will bring him on. But guys, while we're in the studio, let's just quickly move on before bringing Tunde in. Europa League. I mean, there's no other story everybody wants to hear except what happened on the night when Wenger was coddled after the night. I mean, before then it was, we will sacrifice this man. And the only thing they were waiting for was for Arsenal to lose to AC Milan. But on that night, just when you know, it's like a boxer who you know that the next round he's going to be out, and the next round he came with all the energy which is nowhere to be seen, and he beat one mercilessly. Wenger sometimes is a magician. Your thoughts?
I think people are overblowing this victory of Arsenal for some certain reasons. For a start, I watched the game. AC Milan was poor, in the sense that, you know, they were very, very poor, and that gave Arsenal a breathing space. So, and UEFA is the only route now Arsenal has to coming back again to the Champions League, because I don't think they will qualify for the, you know, for the last four in this league. So he, for the first time, is taking the UEFA League seriously, because he feels that he is under pressure to perform or to show a kind of performance. And yes, they played well, you know, taking in cognizance that they are playing away in Italy. So, but people shouldn't read too much meaning to this victory now, because it takes away the fact that, for me, I believe that time has come, that Wenger should go upstairs. Let them get somebody else again who is young, vibrant, who wants to kind of, put a lot of energy into the team. He can be, take an advisory role from the top there for the new person coming in, show him the thread of how Arsenal is being run and everything. But you need that vibrancy now in Arsenal to be able to bring back Arsenal to compete with the likes of Man City, Chelsea, Man United, and the rest of them. So we shouldn't read too much meaning, like for myself, in my opinion, we shouldn't read too much meaning to this victory against AC Milan, because on that night yesterday, AC Milan was poor.
Gary?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't watch the game, but I think that what Tony's saying does make sense, because a team doesn't just go from being absolutely poor as they were in the last couple of games to then suddenly striking genius. Basically, there's a fundamental issue that Arsenal haven't been able to deal with. Basically, there's definitely, and I do think it's, and I've said this before, is that I think that Arsenal does need it needs new blood. It needs a new approach. I think that it needs needs new management. It needs a new. I think the players that have come in, I think there'll be some really good players now. I think I've been very excited by the fact that the players that they brought in the January transfer window. I think that they're some really good players. There's no reason why Arsenal can't actually start fulfilling a lot of potential that it has. And if with those players and they're losing to teams like Brighton and Swansea, then you've got to think to yourself, there's, you know what I mean? There needs, something has to change for sure. And as Tony says, if AC Milan were poor last night, look, AC Milan are not the AC Milan that they were 5-10 years ago. They're still trying to rebuild themselves as well. So that does make sense to me.
But let's move to what's the problem with Arsenal? Where are they getting things wrong? Fair enough. What is the point of fighting for the EPL, top 4 thereabout, for the Champions League, when you have the thoughts of perhaps within the within the Europa League? I mean, one can see it from that angle. Perhaps he's channeling all his energy to the Europa League, so that
before they lost to Swansea and Brighton, they were still thinking they were going to be in the top 4. So you know what I mean. You can't say they lost those games because they were going to focus on the Europa League. So no, they wanted to win those games, and they were trying to do everything that they could to win them, and they just didn't. They were just out-thought and out-strategized, basically.
So what's the problem, guys? Let's help Wenger solve his problem. let's get into what the problem is for this team. Is it the supporters? Is it the strategy? Is Wenger losing what makes him Wenger? Is it too old to understand what the fans want? Wenger out today, Wenger in tomorrow. Where's Wenger actually in all this?
No, but in fairness, he's been a great servant to Arsenal, over the years, from the time he came into Arsenal up till now. But the thing is, now it gets to a point that you even ask yourself, you need to advise yourself to say, it is time for me to step down, even though if they don't want you to go. But you've seen, because take for example, if I keep giving you this message over and over and over and over and over again, after a period of time it becomes boring to you. So, and that is what is happening in Arsenal now. So, and that is why they need something else now. They need something else drastically. They might go the way if you watch, other teams have gone that direction. But even the Man City of today, now they've all gone that direction. The the Man United has gone that direction since Alex Ferguson left the scene. So they've gone through series of coaches till they ended up with Mourinho now. So it's the same thing with Liverpool. So you have to bring back that enthusiasm inside the team. Arsenal doesn't have it. If you watch, Gary was talking on telly the other day on Sky about people wanted to kill him because they said he made some unpalatable statements about Arsenal players being lazy, walking on the pitch and all the rest of it. But it is, in fairness, it is true. You could see it. Players walking, players when you're losing to. There's no kind of energy inside the team. So, and when you do that, when you don't have that energy inside the team it lacks direction, and they don't even have any leader on the team.
Tony, you speak like one who wants to give Wenger a red card if time permits. But then again, if you give him a red card, who's there? Who takes over to build this empire that he has been keeping?
But if he doesn't step aside, you will not know who is coming in. You understand? Because when other coaches and other people who are seeking for the job, when they see that there's a vacancy somewhere now, that's when you see who will be interested. There's a lot of coaches out there. Some people can even leave where they are to vie for that job.
I think there could be a very good candidate coming up soon, Unai Emery from PSG, because I don't think he's going to be in a job soon. And he's a good coach, actually. He could have the right team. He could be fantastic. He could be a good coach for a team like Arsenal.
And don't forget that Enrique is on the side there. He took sabbatical leave for some time now. No, so there are coaches there who are outside there who are waiting. But if the board in Arsenal does not show any sign that they want, because no coach is coming in to push the other fellow coach out of the job. No. If the board is the board now, if they show signs that yes, there's going to be a movement, then you see the movement of coaches around, and then you see a lot of coaches. Some people will even come out from where they are and then apply for the job.
Arsenal's a big team. It's a team. Any coach would say, give me a chance of that, and I can do that, basically.
Remember, nobody gave proper chance to Mourinho to Man United anyway, despite people have talked about it. But he's doing a good job. And we'll get to that. We'll come and look at Man United in a jiffy. It's still your program, ABC Sports, with yours sincerely, Chris Obukwelu. We'll take a break. We will. When we come back, we will be looking at other stories. Perhaps this time around, we'll be looking at the national teams. We've been told that the Plata has plastered all his love for Morocco 2016, and Plata has gradually crawled out from his cradles. One will get to be careful with whatever he says. Anyway, we will be looking at the list of players being called up. Morocco has called from friendly matches. We'll also get to look at that, only if you stay with us. Welcome back. It's still your program, ABC Sports, with your sincerely, Chris Obokwal. If you joined us just now, I think, and you were a bit on luck because it's that time for football. And just to say that for those of you watching us via Sky 238, you know too well that we'll cut off after 1 hour 30 minutes because we'll go on to Fusion and all others. So in case you want to enjoy more of our programs, please be well assured to join us on all other platforms. Fusion, Plus TV, and Talent, Vineyard, they stay for 2 hours. So if you want, please, in case Sky 238 doesn't stay till the end, please, that's the platform for you to join us to wrap up all other stories. Okay, now moving ahead, and this time around we're looking at interesting stories making the round. But before we begin to look at the friendly matches, guys, we've been told that Step Platter has eventually said, you know what, forget about this bid of a thing. Morocco is where it belongs. I mean, this is, no matter how you want to paint him, this is former FIFA president, a man who have cuddled this trophy plenty of times. I mean, you can't really take it. Everything he says should be gospel, isn't it? He knows more about his bids.
Well, I mean, he was always a supporter of an African country winning it, so he was very instrumental in getting South Africa to become the to host, and it was against in Morocco then. So maybe he feels a bit bad that I put all the things to South Africa, and now he feels he needs to give Morocco a shot. But I think the other thing as well, it's interesting, is the fact that Morocco has actually been trying to. Morocco honestly deserves it because they've tried for many years. They've been bidding for this tournament for years, and I don't think any country deserves it more than Morocco to get a shot.
What annoys me,
another World Cup in Africa.
Why not? What annoys me in all of this is that FIFA, on or before now, has said no to joint bid, but things have changed around and say, oh no, every bid we're going to look at it each one by one. We have to look at the situation was that we're no longer going to have a joint bid. That was the decision. But now, in my own opinion, forget being for always love my African descent and African contingent and all of that. I mean, Morocco should be given. It's clear. There's no coming from Canada, America, and all of that. Yes, you guys might have better quote unquote facility, which is there to be argued because many people didn't give South Africa the chance. They said no, we can't be going to South Africa when the other guys are ready to. But South Africa gave us exactly what we were looking for. Except from the Vuvuzela, that was so loud. That was so loud. Okay. However, Morocco, we all have to say, have a better chance.
Yes, I think it's high time, Africans, they start looking inwards of how, because giving Africans some of all these bids will help build, football in that continent. We've been trying as much as we can to be able to at least meet up with the world standards and everything. So, but if they're not given the chance, they won't be able to do that because you now say, okay, I'm giving you the chance. Can you be able to do this? And he says yes. So the expertise will come in, which most of them will come from either Europe, Asia, and all the rest of it. So, but that will give them that platform also to build their facilities. These facilities will be there forever. All you need to do is either to improve it or to put, to modernize it. So, and that will help also because people will now, the followers of football will enjoy that. And with that now, some of all the stadiums will be used for certain things after that, maybe for clubs or some other clubs might go in to buy them who doesn't have the money to, build their own stadium, might rent such facilities and start using them. So I believe that giving Morocco a chance again will definitely help African football. And I think they are in the right direction they are supposedly in the right direction to bid for the World Cup.
Good. If Moroccan fans are still listening, hear this one. Your team is already preparing, and of course, their friendlies are already lined up for you. There's actually a confirmation. It simply means it's happening. So the Atlas Lions will face Serbia. I'm being told get your pens and of course books ready because this one is interesting. You guys will be meeting Morocco. Will meeting Serbia on the 23rd of March in Turin. I'm being told Italy, and of course they will also host Uzbekistan in Casablanca after 4 days later. So it simply means that things are going well, and of course they are ready, showing a lot of zeal in participation for the Moroccans. Time won't allow us to dive into the Moroccan, competition, what you guys are really doing, but wait, as a promise, next week I promise you that we will give you everything you need to know about your preparation, about the hosting, what is the latest, everything. I'm going to get someone from Morocco to speak to us on that issue. But then again, there's one that's waiting for us, and that's talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They are getting ready. They want to really go out there in the World Cup. Talking about Russia, and of course, make name. And the trophy have been going around Abuja, and we've been told also it will find its way in Lagos, as far as no animal swallows it. Anyway, talking about the trophy. Moving ahead now, so friendly matches, names have been called, and of course the players are getting excited about being invited for the big game, Poland and of course Serbia.
We've always had good preparations sometimes in the World Cup. I think this one now is good for us because the friendly matches is gearing towards to the World Cup in Russia, and the Polish game, it's going to be a good one, which I support that we are playing teams like for like that we're going to meet in the World Cup. And coming to play Serbia again here, also gives us another chance to, showcase the team. So, but my problem is that we have players in the local league whereby they left behind. This would have been a sort of experience for them. They might end up not going to the World Cup, but they will gain an experience that will help them when they go back to the league to be able to perform better. And then, they learn a lot of things from there. So what it's quite unfortunate that out of all the whole players playing in the league, you only took 2 players out of the national with the national team. It is for me, it is very, very poor because it tells you that the league is saying, actually, I don't have any confidence in the league. And that league is supposed to be the backbone of our national team because that's where most of our players come from before they start going out to Europe to play. So, and if nothing is given back to them, you're not helping the league to grow. Because the players now playing in that league doesn't have that zeal to say, what am I performing for? Well, if I perform from now till tomorrow, I'm the highest goal scorer, and still I can't even get into the national team or even get a sniff of the national team.
Gary, your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's important to motivate your league like that, and it's important to draw that talent. I mean, the Nigerian players that have succeeded internationally, as Tony says, they come from that pool of talent that starts in Nigeria. That's where it is. And if you want to increase that talent, you've got to motivate that league and the league, and for players to kind of come through that. It's very, very important. And to ignore it, and particularly when you had, as you're saying, with Chan being there with the team, that team that went, it was very unprepared, that team that went to Chan, but did quite well to go to the finals, even though they were beaten by Morocco. But there was still, the elements in that side were some very, very good positive elements that needed to be, that was a great way to prepare the local players to then feed them into the national team that was going to be selected. So, I agree with Tony. I think that you do need to actually give more of a chance to the players that are coming from your league, and you need to do more. You need to have more engagement. If you think about what Verstappen used to do in the old days, he was so strong about going and spending his time on the road and going around looking at the clubs and looking at what was happening, the talent in the country, and I think that's still important. Any coach in Nigeria cannot afford to ignore what's happening in Nigeria.
Good. What our guest is saying is that the coach, Roy, got it wrong in terms of just selecting only 2 local players to actually come for the friendly matches, which Nigerian Super Eagles will be meeting Poland, and not forgetting Serbia in London. Poland will be in Poland. Please get that right. Unfortunately, we will. 2 days nowhere to be found at this point, and that could have been summoned to him immediately. To bring him in, to ask him why that was happening. But then again, this simply shows that the foreign players, the World Cup, I fear there might be no local player heading to the World Cup in terms of Nigeria. It might just be all about the foreign-based players. Tony, I know you're a bit sad about this, but
yeah, because I came under the ranks of playing in the local league, and I ended up playing in the national team, and then playing in Europe. You know, so we had these players coming, the senior players who were there before. You look up to them when you come into the national team, and that motivates you because you want to be like them. When you go back to your club side, you're way ahead of your peers.
Yeah.
So you understand. So you understand where I'm coming from, because I have seen it, happen. So, and that is why I believe that if some of the players from the local league is taking, because we're not going to the World Cup yet. We still have the training camps to go to. We're still so we are playing friendly games to get to the training camp. So this should be the means of the coaches now having to now relate with some of these players, and then these players will learn from what he has to impact on them, and then take it to their clubs, which other people will learn from them, and that will help the teams build up, and then help the players also improve. So, and I believe that if we want the league to improve, we must harness it together with the national team. The national team is not a foreign national team. The national team is home-based stroke the players playing abroad. Okay, take for example, a lot of our players also playing abroad are not playing in the first team of their club side.
Some of them are beginning to change now, Tony. They have all moved around just to make sure that they are
playing in the first team. So when you look at it, the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho has been in Leicester. He has never even maintained one starting shirt since he came in from Man City to Leicester. So what do? You bring in players from the local league, add it to them, so that now gives these players also who are playing abroad here to say, listen, my shirt is somewhere. If I don't take time, somebody's going to take it from the local league, and that will spur them to play more. If Besterhoff was one of the best examples of what how he harnessed the local league and the international players when he was playing in the national team. We have a regular national home-based team in camp for almost like the whole year. We have the other players. You must be worth the salt before you are invited to the national team from abroad. Even though you're playing abroad, you must be playing for your team. And when you come in, you're seeing the local players. 3 or 4 of them are playing in the same matches that you're playing. Of course, you will gear up in order for you to be able to hold on to your shirt. But these guys, there's no competition among them. They believe they can walk into the national team every time and get a shirt or sit on the bench with nobody challenging them. So it doesn't help. It doesn't help. If you watch our team, the national team has never really grown for a very long time. Just now that we just really scripting to qualify.
Despite all of this, do you think, as an ex-international, that the Super Eagles of Nigeria can truly do well at the World Cup?
My heart, as a Nigerian supporting the national team, will want them to do well. To get to a certain stage, at least, if not come into the quarterfinals, surpass whatever stages that we've gotten into. We have the players to do it, but the thing is, do we have the competition in the team to be able to spur these players to get to that?
Wow, that's a good one. Gary, do you think that the Super Eagles of Nigeria can truly, can they maintain these smiles all the way to the quarterfinals?
Look, I definitely think that they can get out the group and get into the last 16, and then from there on it can it's just one match and you get a result and you can go. I think the players are there. I think the team has got a lot going for it. I'm actually very, very confident about this team doing very well. But I think Tony's point is very, very good, because it's a tough tournament. It's a very, very it's football. It goes to another level, and players need to find a bit of extra. And there's nothing pushes players more than knowing that there's competition coming behind you, knowing that there's a bigger group of thing, that you're part of something bigger. And I think that if players get complacent about their position, and think, look, I'm a star, that shirt's mine basically, and I don't have to worry about it. They get complacent. That's where it could go wrong.
It's still your program, ABC Sports. Let's have your views on what you think about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and of course, the way forward for these players. We're not sure exactly what way. I mean, you can help us. We will get Rai in at some point to tell us exactly his way forward, ignoring some of the players of the league. All right, is that time already? Any minute from now, Man United confront Liverpool. Why not? We will talk about it after this break, and of course, get all the fixtures, all the Joseph fixtures for the EPL. We'll take a break. We'll return. The sports continues. Stay with us.
Oh.
Time won't allow us to stay for long, and so we'll quickly look at the fixtures that are making the round. And of course, I will cut Gary's as short as I could. Liverpool confronts Man United any minute from now. I mean, it's big game today. It's a very heavy one. Where are your top points?
Well, I mean, I'm very, very confident at this point in time because I think Liverpool, we're playing very good football at the moment, very, very open football. I know that United have got this thing of being able to park the bus very, very effectively under Mourinho, better than anybody has ever been able to do. But the question is, and this is a big question for United, is that comes a time when they've got to start playing, and everything is not enough for them now just to get a point. If Liverpool, a point is actually puts Liverpool above United. If Liverpool go to second. United have to win this game. So they've got to actually release get off the bus and start playing. And if we see the two teams go against each other, we could see a very interesting game. But I think if that happens, I think Liverpool could get could take advantage of it.
Laluko is one who everybody have looked forward to. They want him to keep scoring, but then again, can he? I mean, today's game, big one, 12:30 start time and UK time. But then again, can United do this?
They can, because I think with the motivation that they got from Palace, coming back with 2-0 down to win that game, I think it's a big motivation for them. If they had lost that game, that would have changed the dimension of how they would have played with Liverpool. But I think with this one now, Mourinho would not that he will listen, but at least he will give it a go, to make sure that they try to win Liverpool.
Good. The table is out, and of course, this is how it stands for now. Just before they will come up with the 12:30 game, this is what we're looking at. West Brom still scratching, but let's then again congratulate the manager of Brighton and the Hove. I mean, he is the manager for the month, and he has done so very well. He has done absolutely so. I can't even find West Ham very close to them. That's the position of West Ham before. That's the 10th position, but now they're the 14th, which is a bit disgraceful. However, 78-62 means something has actually gone. Guys, time is not on our side. I don't know. Even 2 hours won't allow me to talk sports. How dare they do this to me? Anyway, guys, it has been lovely having you guys on the program today. And of course, you guys will be back again to talk to me. Thank you very much for coming to the program.
Thank you very much.
A very big thank you for you guys for joining me out there. Time won't allow us to go more, but we hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, why don't you join us next week when another 2 hours will be spent talking sports. A very big thank you to my producer, Clement, of course, not forgetting Shaq, for making sure that programs go very well. I haven't changed my name, I won't. When I do, you will be the first to know. Chris, what is my name? Happy Mother's Day. Bye-bye now.